This video is to present the coordination between resident engineers and the Transportation Permits Office Construction Liaison regarding construction restrictions that affect the transportation permit database and affect the movement of oversized permitted vehicles or loads on the state highway systems. According to California Vehicle Code Section 35780, Caltrans and local agencies are authorized to issue special permits authorizing the applicant to operate or move oversized and overweight vehicles or loads compliant with the California Vehicle Code. To understand what is considered an oversized overweight permit load, we need to know legal dimensions. Legal vehicles are a maximum width of 8.5 feet, maximum height of 14 feet, maximum single vehicle length of 40 feet, and a maximum weight of 80,000 pounds. Any vehicles or loads beyond the legal dimensions or heavier than 80,000 pounds are considered to be oversized or overweight and require a transportation permit to travel on the state highway system. Here are some examples of permit loads. Here is a 9-axle trailer with a Cat Scraper 657E. This is considered an oversized and overweight permit load. Here is a windmill blade that can reach lengths of up to 150 feet long. Here is a refinery tank, which was an oversized and overweight permit. Sometimes a permit load requires the removal or resetting of traffic lights and electrical poles while moving the load. Lastly, here's a transformer. Since it was too heavy, it was hauled on dual-lane steerable trailers to distribute the load on each axle and to avoid damage on roadway pavement. These are all the types of permits our office is authorized to issue: single trips, stars, annuals, repetitives, and variances. The Transportation Permits Office averages about 160,000 permits per year. A single trip stars permit is a permit issued for an oversized overweight permit load that is good for one-time, one-way travel from point A to point B. The only difference between the two is that single trips have to be faxed in, while stars can be processed online using our stars program. An annual permit is a permit issued for a qualifying vehicle or load that is valid for 1 calendar year and limited to legal height, a max width of 12 feet, and is allowed to have extra legal weight. Being that they are only allowed certain dimensions, they are allowed to travel throughout the state based off of a map they are given on highways that can accommodate them safely. A repetitive permit is a permit issue that allows an unlimited amount of moves from point A to point B for 90 days. Unlike an annual permit, dimensions allowed are determined on a case-by-case basis. Lastly, there are variance permits. These are for large loads taller than 17 feet tall, wider than 16 feet wide, and or longer than 125 feet. This permit type may require CHP to safely escort the load and may require the route to be surveyed by a third party before the permit can be issued. When we issue any permit that is not an annual permit, we provide the specific route from point A to point B. Based on the size of the vehicle or load, we provide a safe and short route using our route clearing database to try and avoid any construction or restrictions on the state highway system. Since these routes have been checked to ensure they can accommodate the oversized loads, haulers are not allowed to deviate from their given route, nor take a detour not listed on their transportation permit. Here is an example of a single trip permit. When we issue a permit, the information can be valid up to 10 days from the date of issue. Since the permits are issued based on conditions at the time of issuance and are valid up to 10 days, these oversized and overweight loads must be allowed to travel through or clear through construction areas prior to any new installation of restrictions. If we take a look at the route on this permit, you can see that the route includes the location, date, and times of closures or restrictions that they will encounter on their route. This gives the hauler an opportunity to avoid traveling at those times. These are generated based off of the information you submit. Annual permits, on the other hand, are not given a specific route, and since they only receive a permit once a year, they rely on a detailed weekly list of restrictions that is updated and emailed to them every Friday for the upcoming week. This list is compiled using the information we receive from you as well. According to the department's construction manual, section 4-1203C 1A, the RE is required to confirm that the contractor submits a scheduled closure in advance as outlined in the standard specifications, and that the RE must inform the transportation permits unit at least 15 days in advance of the closure. Any construction restrictions will impact the movement of permit loads on the state highway. This is why we need to know all the construction restrictions in advance in order to update our database before we issue out any permits to our customers. In order to accomplish this, all closures must be submitted at least 15 days in advance through LCS. In addition to submitting the closure into LCS, a notice of change in clearance form will need to be submitted for the following closure types. 1. Any reduction of horizontal clearances of travelways, including shoulders, to 2 lanes or fewer during construction. This can include construction activities such as temporary barrier placement, paving, and one-way traffic control. 2. Any reduction on vertical clearances of travelways, including shoulders, during construction. It could be activities such as pavement overlays, overhead sign installation, or falsework girder erection. And 3. Any permanent changes in vertical or horizontal clearances. Why is the 15 days advance notice very important? It allows our construction liaisons enough time to update the routing database and the annual's weekly restrictions list, so that all of our permit holders are aware of any restrictions or closures that may limit their travel, and to avoid any conflicts with construction job sites and their crews. This enables our database to be up to date before any permits are issued. In the situation where a closure request is submitted by the contractor, the resident engineer is required to accept the submittal in the lane closure system. Otherwise, the closure will not post and be visible in the LCS, and the HQ construction liaison staff will not see the closure request. When the resident engineer is required to notify HQ Transportation Permits Office of any changes in vertical or horizontal clearances with a clearance diagram, the RE will need to fill out one of the 3 Notice of Change in Clearance forms, TR-0019, TR-0020, or TR-0029 for every closure. According to the Construction Manual Section 3-703A, at least 15 days in advance of the change. Here is Form TR-0019. This form is used for divided highways, where there is a separation between both directions of the highway. The RE will need to fill out all the required information at the top of the form, including the tentative start and end date of the clearance change. The bottom portion of the form must include all the required measurements, and the measurements must be listed in feet and inches. If K-rail barrier is being placed, please draw in the location of the K-rail. Measurements in between K-rails should be measured from the inside face of the barrier. The next form is TR-0029. This form is similar to Form TR-0019, but this form is used for undivided highways. This form can also be used for on and off ramps as well. This third form is TR-0020, and this form is used for overhead signs. Although this form looks like it is for a single post type sign, you can use it for two post signs as well. Just be sure to include that information in the sign name portion of the form. After you have completed your change in clearance form, please send a copy to our construction liaison staff at liaison.permits@dot.ca.gov. Our construction liaison staff will verify the form and sign it before sending it back to you for your records. Delays and time extensions. If the vertical or horizontal clearances are not reported on time, meaning the RE has not notified us at least 15 days in advance, please contact the construction liaison and inform them as soon as possible to discuss options on how to implement a potential solution. It could be installation of an advanced sign to notify the changes to permit drivers or to accommodate them through the construction area. If a closure needs to be extended beyond the initially provided end date, it is considered as a new closure and will need to be provided to our office with 15 days advance notice. Here is a flow of coordination between the contractor, resident engineer, and construction liaison. If there are any temporary vertical or horizontal clearance changes during construction, the contractor will need to notify the resident engineer in advance, anywhere between 25 to 125 days. Then the RE will notify the construction liaison at least 15 days in advance via Form TR-0019 or TR-0029. The construction liaison will review the form, sign it, and then will send an approval copy back to the RE for their records. For permanent vertical or horizontal clearance changes, such as when a job has been completed, the RE must also notify the construction liaison 15 days in advance. For temporary or permanent bridge permit rating, a structure representative will notify the bridge rating engineer, and the bridge rating engineer will notify our construction liaison via Form TR-0019 or TR-0029 at least 15 days in advance. The construction liaison will review and approve the form and send a signed copy back to the RE for their records. For rescinding temporary bridge permit rating, the structure representative notifies the bridge rating engineer, and the bridge rating engineer notifies our construction liaison at least 3 days in advance. As mentioned earlier, the 15 days advance notice is very important to keep truck permit movement safely on our highways. What if the 15 days advance notification requirement is not met? A permit can be issued with a route through a closure or an area with reduced clearance that they are not aware of, and permit loads could get stuck in K-rail, hit structures, damage overhead signs, damage falsework, overload, and damage bridges. If you have any questions about filling out and submitting a change of clearance diagram, or any other general questions regarding submitting closures to our construction liaisons, our construction liaison staff can be reached via phone or by email at liaison.permits@dot.ca.gov, or you can visit the construction liaison homepage for more information by going to dot.ca.gov/programs/traffic-operations/transportation-permits/liaisons. This concludes our presentation. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to hearing from you in the near future. If at any time you'd like to rewatch this presentation, a link to this video will be posted on our website.